Hello all. Firstly, thank you, Joy, for accepting our invite and joining us. And good evening to everyone, whoever has joined or will be tuning in later to watch, as this is a recorded session. So we had started this sort of chain of conversation, if you like, around November. That the first thing that we had was offline, and it was quite fun, actually, all of us exchanging views. Primarily because why? Because suddenly AI has, all over the place. I mean, you tune on radio, and then radio jockeys are also talking about AI, and so everyone seems to be talking about AI. And many people do not seem to not have a clue exactly what is AI, or that a calculator is really not an AI. So therefore we thought that, okay, why don't we just exchange our views and see, because it has become so hard to keep pace with the advances in technology, that okay, so we learn from each other, and we thought it's very important to keep the conversation flowing and to make the conversation, and that's the intent and the our motivation behind this. This is sort of quiet evening chats, not too crowded, or we are so that way, so that we can make some nice exchanges. In Bangla, we could call it adda. In Hindi, you could call it gupshup. So that's the intent. And in English, it's in conversation. Well, I think. Okay, and our guest today is JoyBose, and Ananya will be introducing him very shortly. The session will be recorded, as we say, and we were saying that if you have any questions, please do keep typing in the chat space. And you could also consider raising your hand, so that we know that in the case we are missing out, then we know that, okay, there's a raised hand also, so that we can go and take your question in between if we have space. Yeah. So I believe I have said all, and I hand over to Ananya.
Thank you so much, Mom, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm really glad to have everyone here. The invited speaker for today is Dr. Joy Bose. He's joining us for today's discussion, so thank you so much. A little bit more about him. He graduated from the University of Manchester with a PhD in 2007, and he was working with the Advanced Processor Technologies group. There, he built hardware as well as software models of scalable neural network architectures in an attempt to investigate their properties and potential applications. This tied into a broader aim of understanding how reliable systems can be built out of an unreliable spiking neural component. So this was done by taking an example of sequence learning. And in addition to research, he has also contributed to industry, and he's worked at Ericsson, Embibe, Microsoft, Samsung R&D in Bangalore, as well as DAI Limited in Stockport. He's currently a senior data scientist at Ericsson in Bangalore. So we're extremely excited to have you, Dr. Bose. Is there anything you would like to expand on or tell us about the interesting work that you are doing right now?
Sure. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah. So what do you want me to do? Like tell about my job, or?
A little bit about, yeah, maybe.
Okay, so basically, I did my PhD in the same lab as Basab. We even had the same supervisor, Steve Ferber. Although I had a co-supervisor, John Shapiro, who was also from the AI lab as well. So the AI research group, which was different from the APT research group. So that in Manchester University, there are different groups. So I think Steve Ferber's group was more about neuromorphic computing, apart from other things. So Steve Ferber, my supervisor and Basab supervisor, was the person who was the principal designer for ARM. I guess you know what ARM is. So anyway, so after ARM, he spent the rest of his career trying to develop brain chips, like chips which can mimic the properties of the brain, because brain has got some good things which neural network models and other models cannot do, which is like it's got low power, right? Like if you see the number of neurons we've got, and the amount of power it takes in terms of electricity and whatever energy is consumed by the brain, is actually quite low if you compare that to how much these deep learning models or current models are using. So his main insight was, why can't we try to replicate some of the properties, low power properties, asynchronous properties of the brain, to create chips which can do similar things to what advanced neural models can do, but with much lower power. So that was the main idea of this lab. So anyway, that was the PhD thing, and I did a small simulation of spiking neurons and trying to do sequence learning with it. But after that, I went to industry, and then I worked for 4 years in UK only, but that was not AI related. Then I came back to India, worked for Samsung and a few other companies. But generally, it was I guess you already know, careers of people who are working in the AI domain, or generally in IT domain. They are generally in two streams. Some of them go into the management ladder, others go into the technical ladder. And in technical ladder, there are pros and cons of both, and depends on personal preferences and so on. So I just wanted to be in research, so I went to technical ladder mainly. So I kept on doing research in different things, but they were industry research, so it's a little less free than if you call it, in academia you can do whatever you want, but that's also not true. You have to do whatever the grants will give you, right? So whatever they want you to research on, only then you will do, but you're still a little more free in getting your own grant proposals. Industry is a little more like you have to do what your clients will tell you, like whatever they want you to do. So for Ericsson, for example, Ericsson is a telecom company, as you know. So in telecom, it's a wide area, and there are a lot of use cases of AI in telecom. For example, there are these mobile towers which you may have seen or may not have seen, and sometimes they have defects, right? So there are some components don't work. So can you have drones which fly around this mobile tower and then use computer vision to detect what's wrong, what can be fixed? Then you have got companies like Airtel, or mobile telco companies, and the way they do the billing, billing of users. So sometimes can you use AI to fix defects in the billing? Or okay, I've worked more in defects, you probably have guessed, but there are many kinds of RAN, 6.0. There are a lot of applications of AI in telecom. So that is what I've been working on. And my previous company, Microsoft, I worked in Microsoft Edge browser, which is just a browser. And even there were some small applications of AI, such as when you have this reading view feature. It's one of the features in Microsoft where you try to open a web page, and it gives it in a way, if you want to print it or something, so it takes out all the ads and all the extra information, and then it shows it in a reading friendly mode. So for that, of course, you need a kind of classifier to know which is ad and which is not ad, that kind of thing, right? So that is what Microsoft was doing. And then I worked in Samsung before that. They were more into I worked in different projects, but one of the projects was about making a kind of a user's profile. So different users of mobile phones, they are living in different places, they have got different demographics, they've got different age groups. So can you set up a user profile based on the limited data that we have got? We don't have all the data, we have some data, but of course you have to also you have to adhere to data privacy constraints and other things. So you cannot do anything which is within limits. Maybe to give targeted ads or something, can you try to build a user profile, and on basis of that you give offers or whatever is relevant for that user, so they are more likely to click. So anyway, these are some of my projects which I've done.
Exciting, fantastic. Oh my God, that's very nice. Thank you, Joy, for that. So yes, please, Ananya, so you can proceed now, I think.
Yeah. That was a lot of very interesting projects, actually, especially because they were all pretty
Yeah.
different from each other. So I think it
Yes.
must have been a very broad field of learning as well. Yeah, very, very interesting. Thank you so much for elaborating. Yeah. So in general, to get the conversation flowing, I would like to ask you a few questions, but feel free to answer as per your stance, however you want. Yeah.
Sure.
So since you've contributed to research.
Hello. Maybe your internet is frozen. Doesn't matter.
Yes, internet has frozen. Yes. Okay, so I'll ask Ananya. I'll complete it for her.
Okay.
So she was going to ask that you have contributed so much in pivotal domains like neuromorphic computing, neuroscience, and also and in industry in such various areas. So you already have said that what she was going to ask. That can you tell us a bit more about your experience working with AI? She was going to ask, but I think you already have elucidated on that. Was there anything else that you wanted to add, Joy, to her that
Pretty
query?
much, it's just like an industry. Like I said, you have to do whatever you're told to do, and in AI, the trends are always changing. So, right, for
Yes.
example, right now is the age of the LLMs, the large language models, right? So,
Yeah.
so everything has now become very large language model specific. So
Yeah.
now all the newest projects which I'm doing for the last 1 year or so, everyone is to do with large language models, building chatbots which can answer questions about the network, and this kind of things. So before this, because the LLM technology was not there 3 years ago, it was not widespread, at least in industry. Maybe in research it was more. Research
Yeah.
is always 1 or 2 years ahead of industry, I guess. So in industry, it was more like using shallow models and maybe deep learning a little bit. And before that, so it's very exciting. Like when as and when the models are new models are coming up, even industry tries to catch up, and then everything you have to do in that but latest technology. Everyone wants
Oh,
deep learning, everyone wants LLMs and that kind of
yeah.
thing.
That's a very that's a bit isn't it a bit confusing? Because suddenly one day you were actually applying deep learning techniques and the current state of the art, and then suddenly a new technology, this LLM especially, is released.
Yeah.
So what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to then bag and baggage completely move to that new technology and try to use that for finding your solutions? Or
Depends on whatever our clients will want. So generally in a project, once the project is started, they will probably stick to one technology only. They will not certainly say when to switch.
yeah.
They may say, but usually they won't. So after
Oh,
that project finishes, the next project comes up, then they will say we want LLMs. So the
right.
newer projects will always be LLM based and all that.
And is it like, yeah, sorry. So no, I just was curious. So is it like your client sort of, sort of has an inclination or a thing that they want you to use that, or is it like need based? So you assess what you need, and then
like that also. So they are like, although at my level we don't make the decision, but at some level we are also called for consulting sometimes. But generally, like the TPMs, the technical project managers, or PMs, they will decide what technology to use and what is the best approach to solving the client's problem. And of course, like in there initially when a new project starts, we have multiple discussions with the clients. So in the discussions, we can say that why don't we can do it in this way, we can do it in that way, and they also might have heard of some new technology. They will say, why don't you try this, why don't you try that? Explain it to me.
oh,
I mean, whatever are the latest technologies that are running.
yeah. Okay, thank you. So Ananya, I asked on your behalf because your network there was an issue. So the next question that I had was that ethics. It's a big worry and it's at several. It's a very layered problem. So there are many layers. So as of now, when you work in the industry and when you are using AI, I know you are solving your client's problem, but are there any like ethical regulations in place that are there any protocols in the industry that you need to follow, or as technology progresses so fast, do you also need to revise those protocols, bring them up to date to the current state of the art?
Sure. Yes, there are some. I think it's not the same across industries. It depends on the company. It depends on the project within the company. There are a lot of variables here. But yes, that at least in Ericsson, they had their own kind of thing. For example, like most of our clients will be based in Europe, so they will have GDPR and this kind of things. Right? There's privacy. Like whenever you're talking to the LLM, for example, you cannot reveal any data about the client's identifying characteristic, like the name or anything that can be used to identify. So you have to mask it, or you have to use guardrails that are sometimes available already in the LLMs. So there's privacy, there's security concerns that you have to do a security check. I don't know whether it comes in ethics or not, but anyway, there are all these tests which you have to do. You
Yes,
separate
yes.
security team for which you have to give. Once you've made a software, you have to kind of give them that, and they will try to break it using different ways. So there are some these kind of protocols are there, but general ethics, I know there are a lot of concerns, and I've also read a little bit about these things. But like I don't know, there are guidelines, the guidelines to AI ethics, and we have to take courses and trainings to adhere to those guidelines. But
Okay.
generally, some of these things are not very. You cannot always measure it, right? You cannot always check test.
Yeah, true.
The tools are not
Yes.
always there, I guess.
And also, I suppose it will vary from industry to industry,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because the use cases are different.
Like in telecom industry, user privacy is a huge thing.
Huge thing, yeah, yeah.
It's so much that you cannot even take the client in some projects. You cannot even take the client's data across geographies. So if it's something based in Sweden or something based in Spain, then your model has to be in the client's domain only. You cannot even install your model in your domain and use the client's data. So even that has to be in that domain. Right, so there are different kinds of whatever they have got regulations and rules about what where the model has to be, how you are going to retrain the model, what you can do with the data. You cannot even carry the data across boundaries, and if you must, then it has to be anonymized, and it has to be like properly processed before you do it, so that the individual client's data is not publicly accessed.
So these training programs that you just mentioned, is it like those are custom made by each industry? So for example, you are in the telecom.
I think so. I mean, I've even seen in Google, for example, they have a lot of guidelines in their websites as well. So in telecom in telecom, Ericsson has got their own training programs, mandatory ones. So every company will have their own, I guess. And also, like I said, Ericsson is very big on these things, but other companies may not be so big, or maybe startups don't even have the resources to make customized training programs. These take a lot of resources, right, to make it and all that. So in Embibe, they didn't have that kind of thing. But it depends. Like it depends on what resource they've got and whatever. Everyone is trying to do the best, of course. But so bigger companies are more likely to have these kind of things, I guess.
Okay. Thank you, Joy. I think that was very insightful. Yeah, so Ananya can take the next question.
Yes. So this would be touching on a sort of different aspect of AI. I don't know how many of you use like social media trends that much, but have you heard of the Studio Ghibli animation trend?
Yeah.
Right. So I was discussing with a few of my friends about their thoughts on this, and I received a lot of polarizing views because some people were like, "Oh, AI is amazing. It has so much capability, and it's able to, do this human-like art and pay respects to a really good studio." And then other people were enraged. They said it was unacceptable and artist jobs would go. And even if AI is generating jobs, those jobs are very software based. They're not really accessible to artists. So I just wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think AI is appropriate here?
Of course, related to Studio Ghibli, I will admit that I have myself generated a lot of Studio Ghibli photos in the last few days of all my friends and all. But anyway, it is true that the creator of Studio Ghibli himself was quite concerned about it, and there have been people are saying that how did this OpenAI get those photos in the first place? They're not supposed to. They're copyright protected, right? So how can you steal the creator's style like that? Especially if it's copyright protected. So yes, I mean, these kind of things just happen a lot, I guess. But generally, I mean, it's fun. Like people who are doing AI, you know what Andrew Ng has said about it, right? Like people will not lose their jobs so much, but people who can do AI, they will replace the people who cannot. Something like that. Like for the same jobs. So like the designers or the artists who can use AI to enhance their art, they are better placed than the artists who don't use AI or refuse to use AI. It's kind of, they're both sides of the story, and I know of some authors and artists who are really angry about this and who don't like it at all. But like Andrew says, I also agree with that AI is like the new electricity. So it's like a new kind of technology. It's a new, like there was the technological revolution, right? The 16th century or 17th century. the industrial revolution. So it's like another kind of industrial revolution. So we have no choice, even if we don't like it or if we have concerns. So yes, we should try to, of course, make sure that our concerns are heard. But overall, the zeitgeist of this era is AI. So everyone is using it. So there's no way you cannot use it. And you have to. I mean, of course, I don't know about how good India is as opposed to Chinese government and all that, but they are making really good progress, and we are rather slow, I think. But AI is a must, and we have to, of course. There, for example, we don't have an LLM, right? We have one, but maybe one or two, but I don't know how well they are. There's nothing like DeepSeek, for example.
No, true.
So
Yes.
there's a lot of scope for us to do things, I guess.
So on that thing, Ananya, if you allow me, can I ask a question sort of on
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
note? Actually, not ask really, it's just a conversation. So I'm just curious, Joy, on your thoughts that, right now it's there in the news, oh, India is the #1 user, of AI, and the uptake of AI is fantastic. So as you're saying that it's a new sort of industrial revolution, and we all need to know how to use AI. And therefore, to get familiarity with AI is important. And it turns out that India is so the question is, and you rightly say, but we do not yet have, so we are the users, but we are not the developers. So
Yes.
we have not yet had our own product. What on the other hand, China does have its own product, and they are not the users of the OpenAI or those, because they have their own product to use and build on. So, and that sort of intuitively makes sense why India is the largest user against, if you put it against China, because China also has a huge population, is because they have their own product. But what about South America? Where does that number, because Brazil, one would imagine that Brazil would also, compete in terms of using AI. So why do you think is India the largest user of AI? I mean, I'm just
We
wondering.
have a higher population than Brazil, more than any other country, in fact, right?
More than any other country, but isn't like this whole South America like others, or is there no statistics perhaps?
I'm not sure, but I think we have more population in the whole of South America, if I'm not wrong. We can check using Wikipedia. But of course, the other thing is like they're not that much techie, right? Like India is more tech friendly. I don't know what, like our UPI, for example, we have UPI everywhere. And when I went to Europe, even UK, they don't have UPI, anything like that, right? Of course, China has their own Palm, and they are even better, of course. But India is more tech oriented. It's much more.
Is it also to do with the network connectivity that is massively? I mean, but is it because of the telecom network connectivity that in India it is at a scale unprecedented, isn't it? I mean, in the nooks and corners, in villages, people can use the mobile.
True, it is cheaper, and at least from Ericsson's perspective, it's like India is one of the biggest markets, especially after like China has some issues with political things with whatever. But India is one of the biggest markets and the fastest growing markets in Europe and South America. Even it's growing, but it's not growing as fast as India is. And of course, if you know, right, the money we give on a per month basis to Airtel or Jio is actually quite cheaper if you benchmark it with the rest of the world.
Yes.
In UK, they charge a lot more, for example. Right?
Lot more. So therefore, it's cheaper, it's accessible, therefore. Yeah. And then the connectivity, the coverage area is also so wide that even someone sitting in a faraway village, in a hilly area, has the coverage and has the money to actually go on the internet, and then you use AI in these different forms. I
used to hear about TikTok, like a lot of people were making things from villages even in TikTok, but then it got banned. I don't know if they're using Instagram Shorts or something, but yes, there are a lot of content creators in India. That's true, and it's become more democratized. It is true that because it's low cost and there are a lot of tools available, and it's very easy to make a video nowadays, right? Video or anything, whatever you want. It's easy to write a book nowadays, for example. So then, of course, that way India is benefiting because it's got a very tech-friendly population, a very young population, and who can adopt tech very easily.
Yes.
So, yes, in that way we are good AI users. But then we have to become good developers. Otherwise, we will always remain consumers. And as you know, like there have been concerns, right? tech is dominated by a few companies only, right? And the users' data is like for example, Facebook is free, but we are the product, right? Our data is being used. Even
Yes,
in Studio Ghibli, people
absolutely.
have said, like, when you upload your photos, then this is an easy way for them to get pictures, right? Get people to freely send their own pictures. They would
Yeah,
never have worried otherwise. For you that they can use for training the model.
yeah,
Yeah, we have to develop our own LLMs and
yes,
things like
yeah,
that.
yes. You are right. I completely agree. And yeah, excellent. So I think moving forward. So Ananya, are you going to? You had another interesting thing you wanted to hear Joy's thoughts, no?
So if I'm not wrong, you later went on to pursue mental health as well as psychology as well. So something interesting I wanted to know is a big demographic, at least in India, from what I can see, using AI or social media in general, have been young adults or they're either teenagers or in their 20s. So would you say AI can affect their mental health to a certain extent if they're using AI all the time? Or is there another demographic which is also vulnerable to giving their data or such trends?
I mean, it's not AI as such. Like it's just technology. As like people are addicted to mobile phones and all, and tech addiction is a big thing, of course, in India. Like so I was involved with NIMHANS, which is here in Bangalore. Is a bit like the IIT of mental health, you can say. But in NIMHANS they have a big campaign about tech addiction, and that is the thing. Like many people, especially young people, it's I think a generations thing. So those of us who are from Gen millennials have a different viewpoint, because millennials were born before the tech became mainstream, right? So they were bridging these two. They're bridging the time when the tech is everywhere and when tech was not there that much ubiquitous. And the people who are the Gen Z or whatever generations are now coming up, they are born into tech, right? So they have no other option. Like they don't go out to play. They will just work on their phones. And of course, like there's this attention kind of thing, right? So a lot of these Facebook and these social media designed to to attract you, to kind of completely make it an addiction. And of course there have been also there are many apps, as you may know, or you can search. There are many apps also which can help to improve mental health, like this Visa. There are a lot of them. If you just search for mental health, happiness apps, journal, what do you call that, gratitude journal apps, meditation apps. There are a lot of apps like that also. So that's a small thing, a way how you can use technology to improve mental health as well. So there are a lot of chatbots, mental health chatbots, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy chatbots, which are helping a little bit. But the problem is that this tech addiction is a real thing, and it's a very big thing in India. There's no question about it. And the apps can help in a small way, but many people don't even know about it. Like there's not much awareness about them as much as there should be. Like in UK, it's much better, of course. Like I've got some friends who are like CBT therapists, and there it's mainstream in their National Health Service (NHS). But in India, it's not quite that level at all. And so I guess there needs to be more awareness, and there needs to be more awareness of dangers of getting addicted to technology, and how you can get above it. So mental health is of course there have been if you search, there are a lot of studies about how tech addiction affects mental health, especially if you're on Facebook or something, or Instagram, and you see your friends all sharing lots of great photos about their holiday or something. Then you may feel bad about it. They have got lots of friends, I don't have, or they have all the time, they have the money to do this, I'm not having it. So there's a lot of it actually negatively affects mental health a lot. And it's kind of by design. I think it's almost like it is designed in such a way that this envy and this kind of it does have negative effects. So I don't know what is the solution for this, but maybe that there needs to be more awareness in society, and there needs to be some government level and university level initiatives to combat it. That's all I
Yeah.
can say, I guess.
Yes, the thing has, come to your home and at your hand, available at any time of the day. Earlier, what used to happen is, okay, someone, if let's say some A is feeling envious of B, then that would happen in a certain space and point in time. and then you would go away, and the memory would, the normal course of memory which you would fade. But now these are all at your fingertips, and you are always seeing these photos. Okay, someone having a holiday, or maybe having a nice gadget, or some pictures, okay, which are eating at this, especially this young the generation who are more affected by such kind of peer competition or peer pressure, if you like, to keep up with some sort of social status. So.
And there's another aspect to this also. I don't know if you watched this Netflix series Adolescence. I think in UK it's a big thing, and this Keir Starmer said something about it. And so there's something about the dangers of too much of, and there are also some groups and all, and the young people may not know about all these things, so they may be easily falling
easily groomed. Yeah.
Negatively, they may be affected by it. The mental health may be affected negatively.
Yes. Yeah. These things are happening, and then online bullying is happening because there are these virtual worlds. I quite forgot the term. Where
dark web and all these things, yes. Dark web is one thing.
Dark web, and there is also another second. So it's a virtual world where anyone can come and bully you.
Metaverse, yeah.
Yeah. So and come and bully you, and then therefore these teenagers, they are pressurized, because sometimes people. Not sometimes, always. I mean, although there is a very nice saying that as bricks and stones can break your bones, but words can never harm you. So I think these old, types of sayings and proverbs in all parts of the world, those are something that perhaps a type of some sessions in this, as long as these are in the RAM of the adolescents, so that even when someone is bullying them online, but if they are also having these sessions, stories in a story session, or in a school, some sort of D-tech sort of session, so then maybe the impact of such bullying will soften down, so that now several adolescents are even pushed to commit suicide because someone said very wrong, bad about, and they have been saying that. So these are real problems, actually. So
there's no easy solution for this. There has to be more awareness than that's it.
Yes, there has to be social awareness. I mean, there cannot be one size fits all. It has to also vary between societies, between different sections of the society, because parents are also at different levels, isn't it, of their understanding or awareness. So
I remember that. I read somewhere that the people who make the tech, like Mark Zuckerberg or people like that, the real leaders of tech, they say they don't allow their children to use tech.
Yes.
I heard used everywhere else. I heard this.
Yes. So I heard a very someone who left Meta was I heard recently saying that they themselves. So that's so hypocritical. So it's all about the money, actually, business. So that's the thing. So okay, so Ananya, should we ask others to pose their questions, because I can't see anything on the chat? Would anyone else want to discuss something, something interesting, some interesting conversation? This is just treat it as an informal conversation, please.
Yeah, I had one question actually.
Please, Swapna. Yeah, go ahead. So Swapna has just graduated from our lab just last year, and she is now a postdoc in IISc Bangalore.
Excellent.
So Swapna, please go ahead.
Thanks, Joy. I joined a little late, but I'm not sure if this was already discussed. So Ericsson is building focused on building intelligent networks, which are like zero-touch operations and all. So where the decision will be taken autonomously. So my question is, who takes the responsibility of things going wrong with any such wrong decisions being taken? And like how, as a company, Ericsson as a company, is safeguarding this through their, when you write your scope of work, how do you guard against such mishaps? Means how industry tackles this kind of
like
issues?
I mean, of course, this is one of the projects of Ericsson. It's not the only project. So it is probably used in by some clients, not by all clients. But it is true that Ericsson has got very well defined protocols for this kind of things. And when you have autonomous agents and all, so they have good guardrails and like whatever are the industry standards. Ericsson is usually the leader at adhering to these standards and even defining these standards. So there's no hard and fast rule that everything will be perfect, but all I can probably say is that if other companies do it, Ericsson would also be doing it. Like they would be having proper checks and measures. And generally, when you put an LLM or any kind of machine learning solution, there is always some kind of monitoring involved. Like there'll be some kind of agent which monitors how the performance of a network and whether something is going wrong or whatever the KPIs have been agreed with the customer. If they're not going with the KPIs, then there will be some kind of monitoring. And if something goes wrong, there will be people in the back end who will be responsible for it. Like generally in every project, we have people who have to deal with monitoring how well it's doing and where it's not. We have service level agreements. If a ticket is raised by any of our clients, and we have to respond to them in a certain time frame and fix the issues. So I mean, when you say autonomous agents, I don't know to what extent it is completely autonomous. There may be, of course, there will be agents, but there will be some kind of monitoring going on. At least there will be another agent which is monitoring the first agent, I would expect. So there will be some kind of guardrails, some kind of checking there. I'm not completely familiar with it, but I think there will be something like that.
Okay.
Generally, Ericsson is very good at doing these kind of things.
So I was just curious, like, when the solution is working on its own, like what exactly do you write in your scope of work? Like, especially when we have an exclusion section, what do we say that it's excluded, and like what is, like what we cannot foresee, obviously, but then how do you write such statements in your SOWs? So that was like,
You have to
just an
foresee
idea.
some things like
Yeah.
whatever can go wrong will go wrong in a certain context only, right? Maybe it'll give wrong answers, or maybe it will not it will not detect an error or a bug, or maybe the ML models accuracy will fall. There'll be data drift or concept drift. There are certain kinds of well-known problems that happen, right?
Yeah, okay.
So whatever we have known, at least that we can fix. What we do not know, we do not know. That obviously initially we cannot do it, but obviously once it happens and someone brings it to, like, there'll be people who are monitoring the network at all times, even these autonomous networks. So once they come to know of something, then they will eventually put a fix on it.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question here. So Vibhav used to be an intern in our lab, and now he works. He's working with a UK company, but luxury working from Goa. So he's from Goa. So so that's luxury. So okay, so Vibhav says that as AI continues to revolutionize healthcare, what are the ethical implications of AI-driven decision making in patient care, particularly when it comes to balancing the efficiency of algorithms with the nuanced understanding that human healthcare providers bring to complex cases? So I suppose Joy's experience with your master's at King's College may bring some insights.
I guess so. Let me try to understand the question first. So I
Yeah.
think he's asking about what is the so as AI is used in healthcare, what are the problems that can happen, or how can it be worse than when a human does it, right? What are the
Yeah,
risks?
yeah,
Something like that,
yeah.
right? I mean,
What are the ethical? I mean, so of course there are several ethical implications, but
so
yes,
I mean, the way AI is used in healthcare is not the same everywhere, right? So when it's used in NHS, it is there are very strict regulations about it, as I know. And there's only like, for example, NHS has suggested a few apps for therapists, like Visa and a few other apps. So these apps are already they have been properly vetted. They have been checked, and they have passed certain tests. They have been tested on some experimental populations of people, whether it's actually good or what can go wrong. and so they have been properly vetted. So they have not been just used like that. That is the first thing. And second is like it depends on what kind of where it's being used. I don't know if you, in India, for example, I know people who have been using what is it using mobile phones to detect take photos of the skin and detect if cancer is there and things like that. There are lots of small apps like this that have been done. So AI in healthcare is also being increasing in India. So I do not know what are the things in India which people do. But there are risks, of course. That there are risks of the data being misused. There are the risks of of the personal data being exploited by people. This is of course there. And like in UK, I can say that there are very strict protocols. In India, I don't know because we are still developing. We are a developing country, right? So, and there's a lot of population. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. But I'm sure we are also learning from whatever is the state of the art. So the government would be probably having some guidelines about it as well. So
Yeah.
there are definitely some things which are coming up as to how to make it safer. But there are different risks, and like of course AI is more efficient. Like if you have got an app which can take a photo and detect video of COVID or video of cancer or video which can take a photo of your X-ray and can help with the doctor, that can actually help. So it's a kind of what should I say? It is a trade-off, right? So in villages where you don't have doctors, our ratio in India of a doctor to patient is one of the lowest in the world, if I read correctly. So
Yes.
and even worse for mental health. You have only one Nimans. You've got many aims, but you don't have Nimans very much at all.
No.
So it's even worse in mental health.
Yeah.
So therefore, the only way it can happen, the only way it can be made more accessible is by apps. We don't have enough trained people, for example, right? So what can we do? We don't spend money for on medicine that much or on healthcare. The government spending as a percent of GDP is quite low actually, and plus we have a huge population, right? And the doctors, there's so much brain drain. People go to US and UK where they're much better paid. So actually it's an issue, and that there are no easy answers. But I mean I would trust that we are becoming better. The government will try something at least in the long run, and it will become better. At least the aims are increasing, and I've heard like even Nimans maybe after some years they will open other branches. So maybe they will train more people. That is one thing.
But a lot needs to be done yet. So recently, lung cancer in the NHS has used AI to detect lung cancer, which can be detected. So it has been tested thoroughly, and it will now be deployed, or has already been deployed. And yeah. So Vibhav also knows about something in the US. No, Vibhav, like robot for mental health. So Vibhav cannot talk, or
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
No. Yeah. So, hello. I'm Vibhav. Hello, ma'am. It's good to see your face after a long time. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there are particularly lot of applications available like Visa, Wobot.
Yes.
There's something called as Farming Bot. So there are a lot of applications available, and they have given their white papers and cases on their respective websites
Yeah.
that provide information on the efficiency, particularly how it works on the human care. But my question was targeted in bringing the efficiency of algorithm, right? AI from the perspective of a black box, right? There are
Right.
several parameters involved. So at a time when healthcare, which is a very crucial and critical aspect, right? So when we try to give it to AI to give a certain decision,
Yeah.
it is debated in the market that it should be not completely unsupervised, but rather rule based because you have a more control mechanism that
True.
allows you to curate what the responses are.
Yeah.
So yeah, wanted to know your opinion on that matter. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So that what you're saying is correct. Like, of course, there needs to be proper vetting. I'm optimistic. In overall, I'm optimistic about AI that over time they will become more accurate and they will actually be well done. Like they'll probably be actually useful, especially in the context of India more than UK even, where you have so few doctors and you like remote villages don't have accessibility. And thankfully, because of telecom, there's more possibility of even villages having access to 4G and 3G and so on. So at least they will have internet. So if they do have internet and they don't have doctors, or they don't have that much qualified doctors, then definitely there's a big gap that needs to be filled. So in that way, AI is required. Now, of course, the risks are there, I know, and in India we don't have that much of what you're saying is correct, that there can be a lot of scope for incorrect responses, and there can be a lot of scope of people misusing the data, especially the private data of the patients. So how do we fix it? I mean, I do not know, but there has to be guidelines. There has to be more. There has to be more oversight. There has to be more rules. But like I say, it's a trade-off. Like, it's still useful, and AI is the future. So you cannot go beyond it. So it's up to us to us, or whoever is working in this area, to suggest some guidelines, or whatever is. For example, India can learn from UK. So whatever the UK NHS has got already approved in their guidelines, or even their Visa I've already installed on my phone. So whatever kind of tools that others use, we can just adopt those same tools. For example, if they have a tool for example, detecting cancer from the X-rays, or whatever it is, lung cancer, like you were saying, Basab, then yes, we should be trying to collaborate with them and try to use their tool in our thing also. But at least that we know it is vetted already. Whatever system they have got is already vetted. So we don't need to do that. And I think that there's no other way. We have to go with AI, and we have to go with technology. That is it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I had another one, ma'am, if you allow me, and Ananya, if you.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. We got
So
time. Yeah.
yeah. So like in the recent budget that was introduced by the finance minister, she allocated like 500 crore for AI for education for
Okay.
India. So,
Mhm.
what's your opinion for healthcare? Like, if some initiative is being planned, and if it comes forward for AI in healthcare, what do you think will have the impact, and how will the AI progress for India?
Like, I'm optimistic about it. First is that, is there enough money? I don't even think they've allocated that much for AI in healthcare. They have allocated in education. So my previous company was Embibe, which is a edutech company. So they were making software which helps people pass IIT, JEE, and this kind of competitive exams, which will kind of predict how well you will do. They have collected data, and that can predict your rank based on whatever you're doing, and that uses AI. So they use IRL, and they use some advanced models of edutech, which predict how you what is your level of knowledge in a knowledge graph in physics, in chemistry, in mathematics, biology, this kind of things, and then on that basis they'll predict it. So in edutech there is a lot of scope. I know that in AI, but in healthcare also there is scope, but there has to be funding. Of course, without funding you cannot have anything. So I'm hoping India will increase its GDP ratio, which is quite low, by the way, like upon there. So they have to fund more. They have to give more money for it. But there's no lack of talent here, and there are, I think, a lot of Practo and all. There are a lot of startup companies, right, which are involved in AI. So definitely the government can can do funding, and universities like yours can definitely help in this a lot, I guess. So they don't need to do it, and I'm optimistic it will happen eventually.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay. So thank you,
yeah,
Vibha,
good to
for
know the thoughts. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Joy, for the responses. So, was there anyone? So, Pavan and Raju, did you want to ask anything? Any questions, or should we just wrap up the session? If you have, you can just maybe unmute and speak, or you can write also. And in the meantime, then we will be preparing for wrapping up, because we are closing to 1 hour. So yeah, I think the overall then, I think we have to discuss this, that so should we be scared that soon AI will be cognitive enough to destroy humankind, or should we be rather happy that AI will be cognitive enough to have, so we have our individual servants, so not cheap sort of servants who can assist us around with chores and leaving us to do the
Right.
more neocortical stuff.
Yeah, so I've actually read a little bit on this particular topic. This is actually I'm quite passionate about it. So I don't think, first of all, that this kind of doomsday scenarios are like that likely to happen. AGI and like general intelligence, we are nowhere close to that. In spite of all the hype that is there for LLMs and all, we are nowhere close to that. And of course, if you read Jeff Hawkins, right, like the thousand brains theory, and people like there are many people like that who are saying that the way we are going with this deep learning revolution and all that is not the right way, because it's not biologically like it's not real. It's not how we do things, how our brain does it. So some people say that it has to be more biologically oriented before we can actually do get general intelligence. A baby doesn't need to know anything, right? They can directly learn everything. So you don't need to pre-train, huge language models for this to happen. So the way intelligence is going is not there yet. I don't think even the experts in the field, even Yoshua Benju and I think Andrew Ng and people have already said that we are not there yet. It will take some time. And people who are like Jeff Hawkins and all, who wrote about alternative theories, like the alternative theories, neural networks, and those who use spiking neurons, and those who do the like brain simulations, they have this theory that we need to get more biologically oriented. We can't use artificial neural networks and this deep learning, which is not that much biologically oriented. Apart from the other issues, the main risks of AI, if you come to that, I feel are in employment and all. I'm a little worried about that, and the fact that there are some monopoly companies, right? So when who benefits when these new models come up? Who gets all our data? It's still going to be OpenAI and Microsoft and like some big companies, right? So that is a bigger issue, and the fact that everything is going to a gig economy. There are lots of people issues here, right? Like we are not allocating people resources properly at all, and people have Uberization and this gig economy kind of thing. Also, for these AI models, there's a lot of back-end work goes on, the dirty work of labeling things and all that, which happens from Amazon Mechanical Turk and many people in India and other countries. They do this work, and it's completely not people don't even know about it. Many people don't even are aware of this. It's not like this ChatGPT just came out of nowhere. They must have used so much of data, so much of labeling, so much of human labor before they got these models to work. So that is also there, and they will keep on doing this, right? So this will always need to be there. So this is the danger, actually. The danger is that this can actually make the inequalities of society worse, and we are not even talking of those other issues. How much power does ChatGPT use to train the model and all that?
Yes, absolutely.
What will happen to the environment? How much water these data centers take? How much money they will take? But these things are also bigger issues than whether AI will take over the world. That's not going to happen right away.
Yes, true. Agree. And Ananya, did you have any thoughts to add or?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I agree. Yeah. In the short run, I think we have a different set of problems to deal with than conceptualizing something that will happen eventually. So I think AI people will have to take it as it comes and then eventually adapt over time. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and you're very right. Jobs is because those some jobs might be taken away by AI. So we have a quick question, because there are just 3 minutes left. So Pawan is asking, are there real-time applications that are deployed using neuromorphic computers in the industry? Hi, this is Pawan.
Right. I'm sure there is. It's just my company. I've not worked on those things, but I believe there are many companies that are working in this area, right? Like in Obama in US, he put a lot of funding for this decade of the brain. So they actually invested a lot of money in these neuromorphic computing architectures, and in Europe also there's a huge push for this kind of things, right? There's a, I don't know what they call it, the EU Brain Project or something like that.
Yes,
you're knowing much better than me.
Horizon, yeah.
So there will be companies that are working on it. I of course know of Numenta, which is Jeff Hawkins' company.
Numenta, yes.
So there are of course companies which do that. And Steve Ferber himself, our supervisor, and his lab in Manchester, that is also doing it. Spinnaker.
So they now have Spinnaker 2.
Good.
It's taken higher, yeah.
And I think Spinnaker has got a lot of projects, right? If you go on the website, you can see so many kinds of projects with collaborations with industry and all. So there are many companies that are working on it.
Yeah. So lots of scope coming up with Edge AI also. I think a new edgy.
In IoT basically, right? And there's easy cognitive neurons which are very very easy to implement, right? So I think easy cognitive neurons also. I was reading that somebody is putting in neuromorphic computing chips.
Yeah. Izikevich is so it's reduced version of Hodgkin-Huxley, but at the same time it can actually create that action potential curve, the whole phases of the action potential. So as opposed to leaky integrate and fire, which has just these single spikes, reset and spike reset, binary sort of feel for it. So yeah, but anyway, not going into too much of details of neuromorphics. Okay. So if there are no more questions, I think I will thank Joy once again for accepting our invite. I'll thank Ananya for planning this out and organizing all of these things. All of these things, the whole, meet this event. And thanks for everyone, Vibhav, Swapna, Raju, Pavan, for joining in and participating in the conversation. Okay, so any last thoughts from Ananya, Joy? Please feel free to.
Yeah, just that like
I
all
just
of us
want
have
to
to.
thank everyone.
Sorry, you were saying something, Ananya.
Oh, I
Ananya,
just
you
wanted
go
to
first.
thank you for agreeing, especially since it's a weekend night. I wasn't sure if everyone would be free, so I just wanted to thank you for making time on a weekend night. Thank you so much for joining. We really enjoyed listening to your thoughts, but please opt
Yeah,
in.
and thanks for organizing this. I think maybe useful for some people, I guess.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was really glad to speak with you.
It's really going to be useful. Yes, thank you. And it was really a pleasure talking, Joy, and catching up after a very long time.
Of course.
And okay, so bye-bye, everyone. Good evening. And we'll see you again very soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.